where I got really interested in Patient Prism and speaking with you was specifically on the lead management aspect. I noticed several areas that would all fall within the lead management category, if you will, that were huge problems. I think number one, in terms of lead management, that a lot of doctors struggle with is just a lack of optics. And by a lack of optics, I don't mean they don't know how many leads that they get, because a lot of them know how many leads that they get. But it's what kind of data do they get with the leads, and is it data that's actionable or not? So the average doctor, they'll probably have call recording, and they'll get some lead through form fills, but they don't have a lot of actionable data, and that's something I think Patient Prism does a really good job of providing. What are your thoughts on that? Actually giving the clients some optics with actionable data.
Yeah, it's so in dental practice, there's a lot of data out there, right? You have data in practice management systems. You have data you have data, especially when it comes to leads. You know how many patients you saw, right? But you don't know how many patients you could have seen, right? And because you don't know what you don't know, you have no idea. You think you're doing well, right? Oh my God, I did so well last month. I did two full large cases or 3 full large cases. But could you have done 5? Because Progressive did bring me enough leads, right? It's just a matter of that I didn't know. And because you don't know what you don't know, so optics matters a lot in terms of, okay, well, it's important to do the cases and do the stuff, but it's important to know what happened, right? What happened? Did the patient fall off anywhere in between when they had that need, when they found the ad, they landed on your website, and they called you? What happened in that process? Did the communication break down? Did we have any other barriers, or do we not even pick up the phone, right? And that's another thing that we talk about a lot is right now through the pandemic, post-pandemic, dental demand is at all-time high. People want dental services. You just have to give it to them, right? You need to be able to provide them what the patients need at the time they need it. But not answering the phone during business hours and spending all this money on generating leads is not a good idea, because you know what? You spend money to drive that lead, and not having optics on whether you're answering the phone or not is important. And knowing that, oh my God, I missed 25% of calls this month, man, that could be, even if all those calls are not leads, even 10% of them, you're talking about 3 or 4 new cases, right?
Well, guys, because every case in this arena is a big case. There are no $300 cases coming in. These are all $10,000 and above full arch type cases. So the leads are very important, and I think because the cases are so profitable and they are so big, we have clients right now that are underperforming drastically, but they don't know it because they're still getting a great return because of the size and the profitability of the cases. And just so you guys know, as far as Amol is concerned and Patient Prism, this is all they do is track, record phone calls, analyze the phone calls. Leads and leads and leads and leads. That's their whole business. That's why I wanted to interview him. That's why I wanted to talk to him and bring this to you guys, because they see how many people, not just here, not just with my clients, but how many clients across the country that they have that have a problem with simple things like answering the phone, simple scheduling issues, price shoppers, all these things. Just talk about at scale how big of an issue this is. And they never know about it before they have your software.
The first thing in lack of optics, you don't even know how many new patients came in the door. You just know how many new patients you saw. So that's the first problem, right? You're not even knowing that. And obviously knowing that matters, because then you know that, man, my problem, then you can identify, okay, well, if I didn't book 40%, right now 50% of new patient calls do not book an appointment. That's a big number.
Crazy.
Bart. They're spending all this money on marketing, and you have no idea that 50% of these leads they're going away. Not answering the phone is not excusable, but last year we did a study. Right now, the unanswered call rate across dentistry is 25%. 25% of calls during business hours are not answered because, again, we didn't have the foresight to have another phone line.
Right.
Just have another phone line, which I don't know what it costs these days. It's not even relevant,
right,
because it's so little.
Right.
Or we didn't think that hiring somebody, paying them whatever 40,000 a year, that's high too, but in some markets you have to nowadays with the market. But paying them 40,000 a year could have another person answer the phone calls in the most welcoming way, and have them close $1 million of the business. But sometimes we don't have the foresight because we don't have data, and that's why optics are important. Understanding that we're missing 25% of calls during business hours, and being able to dig deeper into those calls and seeing, my God, half of these came from marketing.
Yeah.
And Progressive was driving all these leads in office hour. And obviously, when a patient leaves a voicemail or hangs up, nobody really leaves a voicemail.
No, they're done.
They're just like click, right? And what are they doing at that point? They're going to your competitor.
Yeah.
And finding somebody else, because nobody has patience today. Everybody wants instant likes. Everything is instantaneous. We live in the social media world.
Yeah, of course.
Everything disappears. As soon as they reach a voicemail during business hours, they're going to hang up. And now, oh, by the way, I'm looking for a full arch stuff. Please call me back. Nobody's going to do that.
No, and especially with full arch, after they've decided, okay, this is what I want fixed, I'm going to get implants, but I want something fixed, and they've decided, and they're price shopping, how many practices are they going to call to price shop? One? No, they're going to call multiple. Whether you talk to them or not, especially if you don't talk to them the right way and know how to handle a negotiation, but they're calling several different practices. Missing a call is just out of the question.
It's out of the question.
Even when you get the call, you have to be really good.
Absolutely.
You know, because they're calling 5-6 places to get an idea of the medium of cost. But missing the call, you're not even in the same world.
Absolutely. And one of the things we do quite a bit is if a patient using our technology, if a patient actually leaves a voice message saying, "Yeah, I'm looking for this, call you back," we're alerting you right away, saying that, "Hey, you missed this call. This might be a lead. You may want to call them back."
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely inexcusable not to answer phone calls during business hours. Now, scheduling is interesting because one of the things we found through the pandemic, even now, is that because of suboptimal scheduling.
You know what? Let me just stop you real quick because I have one comment. I don't want to lose it.
Sure.
When it comes to like, hey, not answering the phone is unacceptable. Sometimes I've seen practices where I've been doing a day of observation. I've seen team members that are literally running in a zillion different directions. They got people on the line. They got people checking in and out. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that phone's ringing.
That's
and
right.
sometimes
That's right.
they don't have personnel to answer it in that specific moment.
Correct.
Because so many calls came in at once. But what is so valuable and so awesome about what you guys do is you'll actually send them an alert and let them know, this is a lead that came in that was missed, you need to call them back. Or this is a lead that came in that wasn't handled properly, call them back. This is an opportunity. So I think that sometimes there are reasons, and I think looking at it realistically, there are times specifically when they're advertising like on television where you might have a lot of leads coming in at once that they can't handle there, where a lot of times they may roll it over, if the line's busy. But sometimes it's not the line's busy, sometimes it's the personnel that's busy, but you guys even account for that as well. So I didn't mean to cut you off on the scheduling.
No, it's perfect. I mean, we have seen, I've done observation just like you have in hundreds and hundreds of practices over the years. And it's so busy up front that everybody is just running around. Some people are calling insurance companies. Some people are checking patients out. And then the phone's ringing off the hook. And that's money wasted, right? It's money. And I'm not saying every single person is a new patient, but even if 10% of them are new patients, that's a lot of patients.
Yeah. That's
a lot of patients, and you don't want to ever do that. But one of the things we talk about scheduling, and we do everything by data, right? So none of the stuff that I speak about is my opinion, because I just say it's math, right? It's not opinion. It's just math, right? That's it. You can't argue with math. 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4. And one of the big things we saw through the pandemic, because it really compressed the schedules in a way where you couldn't see as many patients every single day. And one of the big things you talked about as we were preparing for this webinar was that you've got to be able to see everybody. And you got to be able to, but you can't see everybody for an hour. You got to be able to see the right, and in order for you to sift through that, you've got to have a triage process that you so eloquently talk about, is get them in the door. You've got to get them in the door. If you tell them that, oh, the next available is January 15th, I'm like, okay, they're going to say some expletive words, and they're going to say, okay, bye-bye, I'll talk to you later. And you know how many times that happens, Bart? 25% of times, patients are not able to come in because we just don't have the room on our schedule to fit them in, because our scheduling system, it all really starts at the schedule. Any dental office you go, if you don't have your schedule optimized, you don't have block scheduling for certain types of people, you're going to tell a full arch case, no, we don't have anything till January. I'm sorry, the patient's not going to wait in line and wait. Oh, I'm going to wait till Christmas and I'm going to call you guys and figure out. Patient's not waiting. Patient want to come in right away.
You think out of all the calls that you record and all of the conversations that you've recorded and listened to, would you say that's the number one issue with scheduling, is the fact that they couldn't schedule them early enough to come in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The days booked out is so far out, like 30 days booked out, 40 days booked out. I'm like, why are you in business, right?
Yeah.
If you can get people in, everybody who needs your service should be able to come in. Now, how you deal with that patient and that's what you guys teach, right? How do you process that patient in a way that is going to optimize your time and not waste your time, but at the same time have the ability to close? If you just give them this ridiculous waiting time, nobody's going to wait.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to wait. And that happens with a lot in the general practices right now, is that you can get people in hygiene for 6 weeks, right? And now they need, let's assume this patient needs like 4 dental implants, and and maybe they need a full arch, but let's say they need 4, and you can't get them to hygiene for 6 weeks. They're like, all right, well, I'm going to go to somebody else. I'm gonna, and then the other person's going to have an opportunity to treat your patient.
Yeah.
Right? So scheduling is really important.
Well, and you guys heard that. I mean, it comes from grouping everybody together, but with full arch cases, it's just totally different than a patient that just moved to the area and they have no idea of anything, and you have to do an entire new patient exam and do a comprehensive exam. A lot of times on these patients, they've already had 2 CTs. They've already had 2 or 3 doctors tell them that they are candidates. They don't want to go through an hour and a half, nor can we allow ourselves to be booked out. For full arch cases, we're not booked out. Not for a new patient consultation, because that's your opportunity to sell them, to get them closed. If you want to be booked out for fillings. Book out.
That's right.
Book the hell out for fillings, but not for full arch implants, right? The bigger the case, the more profit there is in the case. We're not booked out. We can get you in immediately, but we just have to have a way to schedule that to account for the increased rate of no-shows with the demographic and the increased rate of unqualified buyers. And as long as we account for those 2 things, you can see a lot of leads very efficiently, and you won't lose them right here over the phone because you're scheduled out 2, 3, 4 weeks. When they get in that mode where they're shopping, they are going to make a purchase quickly, right? How often is anyone going to shop? Right, once they've talked to 2, 3, 4 practices, every practice they speak to, the probability that they're going to make a decision is higher and higher and higher and higher and higher.